you would like to adjust accordingly.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, you are from Singapore?
I'm from Singapore, yes.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we can share a little bit about how sex education is in Singapore.
My eldest is 8, and it's quite non-existent in my household right now.
How about school?
There's no sex education.
The sad thing is I don't know. So I need to actually find out a bit more, or at least get a bit more on top of it.
I think it's from primary 5, which is around 11 years old. I think primary 5 is when they get their so-called sex education, but the parents can opt in or opt out. So interestingly, quite a few friends, actually parent friends, they opt out of it because either they don't think that children are ready, or they don't like the version that the school is teaching. Yeah, so there are different reasons. So I'm like, why not just have it? But actually, I was surprised quite many around my friends. They're like, nah.
I'm actually very surprised by that.
Yeah, MOE does have, our Ministry of Education does have a standard one. And yeah.
My elder 2 are girls, so I've kind of left it to my wife, which is not a good strategy. So maybe I better get educated and then help out a little bit.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in Malaysia, we do not have a choice whether to opt in or to opt out. They make it compulsory. They make it compulsory 6 years ago, not so long ago. And some schools, their teachers are not.
Your voice is cutting.
Teachers are not ready to teach.
Your voice is cutting in and out, and I don't know if it's your internet signal is not strong, or if you have time to find a better Wi-Fi.
I'm using the wrong
microphone. I think this is better. Is it? Is this
bad?
Yeah. Because by default it was set the laptop one. It's I'm supposed to use the one with the webcam. This is better. I bought a mic actually, but it broke down yesterday, unfortunately, so I cannot get it today. So yeah, hopefully this is going to work, because I've been using this for my Zoom class yesterday, and it seems okay, acceptable quality. So I think it should be fine now.
Yeah, this one sounds very good so far.
Oh, great! I like your mic though, Yin Huang.
Yeah, I do a podcast, so I try and put a bit more effort into getting some good sound.
And how much does it cost? I'm planning to get one.
$50 maybe. You can just buy it.
$15?
This is mine.
Yeah. There, you see there? Martha also got fancy mic.
Oh.
I think yours more fancy.
Mine is not fancy. Mine is retro.
Very retro, very nice. $50 is about like RM about 150.
Sorry, I 50 US. I got it from Amazon.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. But the one.
Hi, Sally.
Yeah, the one that Martha has looks more modern and probably better sound quality.
No, I don't like that.
I just like old things. I like my clock looks like this, like this kind of stuff. I like this kind of old things.
So Shin, I've put in the link. So perhaps when you have chance, you can take a look at what is being covered in the Singapore education, MOE. Yeah. They so some of them, like some parents just says go through that. So they actually encourage parents to go through it, and then you can opt in or opt out, I think. Yeah.
Okay, I think we can start.
Okay. Sure. Let me close all this for a minute.
Let's make sure we start the recording first. I think we can start.
Okay, any introduction, I think, or I shall just go straight into
Yeah,
what I
and
want to say.
also the consent, like how your video will be spotlight, and the only person who will be recorded will be you.
Oh, okay. So are the
Get
tech
them
people
to
going to do
record.
that? They are recording now.
Yeah, get your IT to record. No, you have to give them the signal.
No,
Oh, they are recording already. Oops.
they are recording now. Yeah. It's fine. So, hi everyone. Good afternoon. It's afternoon in Malaysia. I'm from Malaysia. I'm Shin. Call me Shin. My full name is Chan Fan Shin. It's call me Shin. I'm from Malaysia, and it's 2:03 p.m. now here in Malaysia. And good afternoon, everyone who's here in live. And if you are watching this after our live, hello to you. Today, what I'm going to share about is the how I do sex education. I know this cannot be generalized across culture, as this is an international festival, and I understand. Then I'm just sharing how we do it in Malaysia, and I'll spend a little bit of time talking about how I experience sex education in Malaysia as a Malaysian myself, raised and brought up under the Malaysian education system, and so that you guys have an idea what is happening in Malaysia, and hopefully this is beneficial for you. So let me share my screen. Oops, hold on.
Hi. So before we start with the
Yeah.
session, I'd just like to give a small disclaimer to everyone. Okay. So
Thanks.
greetings, everyone. To make this session worth remembering, we require our participants and volunteers to engage in a manner that is not offensive and do not overstep the boundaries of privacy. Such workshops allow us to connect deeply with other people from all around the world. It will be appreciated if we all take up the responsibility to maintain a healthy and comforting environment throughout the session. If anyone faces any harassment from the fellow participants, volunteer, or the presenter, you can register your complaint at Dr. Martha Lee @sugarandspice.asia. I'll be putting this email ID in the chat box soon. It is also brought to the notice of participants that we will be recording the session for those who can't make it or for you to rewatch this later. However, it's only for the participants of this festival. We are pinning the video, so only the presenter will be recorded. You can choose to keep your video or audio on or off, but if you speak, the recording will pick up your audio and not your name. If you have any doubts, questions, or complaints, you can always message me regarding them. Your questions and doubts regarding the session will be presented to the presenter by us, the technical team for this session. So that is me, Abhivyakti Gupta, and Medha Sharma. You can message either of us if you have any doubts. So that's about it. Have a great session ahead. You can continue. Thank you.
Thank you. That's where the tech person is so important, when we are so getting into our content, and we tend to forget about some important things. Thank you very much. Abhivyakti, is it your name? Sorry, I'm not good in pronouncing
Yeah, that's
your
it.
name. Okay, thank you very much. And I shall share my screen now. Okay, I believe everyone can see my screen. Okay, call me Shin, and what I do in Malaysia here is I'm a certified sex consultant. So basically, I do counseling. I'm from a counseling background. I do counseling, and mainly focusing on helping people with their sex issue. But when we talk about sex issue in Malaysia, I tend to get variety of different kinds of clients, where some of them, yes, they do have dysfunction, adults having sexual dysfunction, but they are also a big chunk of them, like teenagers and children with problems or disciplinary problems, sometimes where the schools can't handle them, and because they have actually break some rules, and schools are not able to support them anymore, sometimes they will refer over to me and I'll follow up from there. Also, I'm invited into schools to give talks and sex education for children and for teenagers as well. So today I'm going to share my experience with you. Hopefully you are able to gain something for the next 1.5 hours, and please feel free to share as well as how you or your country or your culture does sex education. I'm interested to know as well. So let's learn together. Huh? Okay, first of all, let me share a little bit about how I grew up as a Malaysian, being educated under the Malaysia education system. In my days, during the early year 2000, when I was still at school, we hardly get any sex education, not at all. No one will mention anything about sex education. And as a teenager, I remember how I get to know about birds and bees was through magazines. At the time, I still remember we completed the we call it UPSR in Malaysia, where it's exam for all primary schools in standard 6, the last year of primary school, basically. Then after that, this exam, teachers will stop teaching and just leave us in the classroom, but we are compulsory. It's still compulsory to attend schools. So we have to go to schools, but we have basically nothing much to do, just play around. So at that time, one of my teachers, he actually brought some magazines, teenage magazines mainly, and leave it behind the classroom. And you know, being growing up during puberty, at the time, I was very curious about sex, about issues that I'm going to face when I'm growing up. So I went and dig out all this magazine and flipped to that particular page that talks about sex. That was how I started to know about all about growing up. And during high school, even that's no sex education. Sex education, yes, probably 1 hour, but for females only. So during my days in high school, sex education seems like it's only for females, and it's only about period, menstrual cycle, and how they can keep themselves clean and for hygiene purpose, basically. And it was really a big secret at that time. Guys were left in the classroom, and the school will ask all the females, probably in one standard, but a few hundreds of them, to gather in the hall and talk about this. How I realized that it was sex education is that I was sort of being invited into that hall as the only 2 guys near my friend. The reason is at that time we were in the martial arts society. So the school decided to add some self-defense, like our Sugar and Spice Festival decided to add some self-defense into the program. So me and my friend was asked to be on stage to act as the predator. Then, but what was interesting is that we were not allowed to participate in the whole program. We were only invited to go into the hall while it's our turn to go on stage. And after that, we were invited back to our classroom. So basically, I have completely no idea what happened. So as young students, when they came back from the hall, we were all so curious about what actually happened in that hall. And the girls would normally be very shy and tend to not tell and tend to like give some other stupid answers about what actually happened. And that was a very big question mark and make us very curious. That was those days when this was those days when I was, the school was trying to teach us about sex education. And until today, like before our session start, we actually talk about this, how's sex education in Malaysia today. Today, by now, a few years ago, the education ministry started a program in our primary school. Basically talk about how growing up is like, what's puberty, what are the changes physically that you'll be facing. And after that, it's not much. The content was a bit, I would say a bit shallow. And then surprisingly, that it's no sex education or no compulsory sex education in high school level. Most probably it's because, sorry, I see someone in the chat. Sorry, I saw someone let me put my chat box here so that I know what's going on. Okay, Melissa, not wrong, was a bit under pendidikan jasmani about mentioning, more physical care and puberty change. Yes. So Melissa, you are a Malaysian as well, is it? Perhaps. Oh, my chat box. Hold on. Let me sort some technical issues out because I can't see my chat box when I'm on full screen. Okay, never mind. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So till date now, we don't have any sex education in high school. Basically, I think it's because we have been talking about this for many years, but it doesn't seem to happen. It's because there are a lot of reasons in Malaysia, and whether we want to tell our high school students about having sex. I think this is the most debatable part in Malaysia. So that's the reason why the Ministry of Education always wanted to implement it, but seems that there are some people, especially with a strong religion background, tend to push it down. And of course, in private school, because they are able to decide what they want to teach to the students. And I know private schools, they do teach sex education, but it's not compulsory in our government school at the moment for high school level. So this is just for your information. Yeah. Hi, Melissa. You're from Malaysia. Yes. We do have some sort of sex education, but it was very limited. And in Malaysia, even though primary school, they do have official syllabus of sex education in primary school, but because not all teachers are equipped with the right, I wouldn't say knowledge. I think in sex education for children, knowledge-wise, it's very simple to gather. I think it's the attitude-wise, the attitude towards sex is hard. So still there are a lot of teachers who does not dare to teach sex education to children because they were afraid that they are going to open up a can of worms. Just like when I was in high school, in our biology class, our teacher was a lady, like 40 years old lady. When she was trying to teach that particular chapter about reproduction, I remember one of my male classmates asked, so guys ejaculate? So the sperm will actually, the semen will come out, and if my house is on fire, can we use that to put out the fire? And my teacher freaked out and doesn't know how to respond to that question. So a lot of times I think that's one of the obstacle for teachers to teach sex education, is because they were afraid that they may open up a can of worm where they cannot handle. So this is basically what happens in Malaysia. So some teacher will teach, some school will teach, but some school won't. It depends on how ready the teachers are. So hence the quality and the standard of sex education in Malaysia, I would say, it's not that standardized. Okay. So what makes talking about sex so hard? Sex has always been a taboo, especially in Asia countries. When I was young, I remember we used to ask our parents, from a very Chinese, I'm from a very traditional Chinese background. So I asked my parents, Papa, Mama, where did I come from? So my mother will tell me I'm actually from the garbage bin. So pick me up from the garbage bin. So this is how we were taught where does we come from. So, and one more thing, I think talking about sex is so hard for parents and teachers, is that a lot of time we have no knowledge in how to teach sex education. For people in my generation, we have never experienced that before. Today, I'm able to teach my children maths, maybe English, etc., because I've actually come across all these subjects before. But in sex education, no. So that's the reason why a lot of time parents doesn't know how to teach the children. But surprisingly, even though we are not mentioning or teaching our children about sex, but I believe that we have actually passed on the attitude towards sex through our non-verbal languages, body language, basically. When our children is talking about sex, then we'll shame away, we'll try to not talk about this. Yeah, okay, we'll try to not talk about this. And Yin Huang, I like your question. This is the question that I get most of the time. What is the appropriate age to teach children about sex? I'll address to that later because that is a very common question. Okay. Yeah, so another thing is shame, because our parents are showing us that no, sex is not right, let's not talk about it, it's shameful, etc., because they don't want to address to that directly. One day, if we happen to saw our parents having sex and we ask them, then they will say they are actually fighting each other, and etc., etc. I've heard so much stories about this. So, some parents will get worried about is sex education dangerous, because telling children about sex may lead them to expose to it early, and they may have sex early. I believe this is one of the myths and worry of the students as well. So, and I believe this is one of the belief by some of the people who actually try to stop schools from education to children, because it's not a masculinity society. I think this is also very important. Oh, it says here my internet connection is unstable. Is it unstable? Can you all hear me? Should be fine, right? Okay, let me know if it's not stable. So a masculinity society actually has a very big say. I come to thought about why do we tend to shame away from sex-related topics. I often relate this with a masculinity society is because we are most of the Asian countries are actually dominated by men. And we do have, as men, as a society, we do have a certain level of expectation towards a person's, especially dress code. And if you realize, most of our Asian society requires female to wear more, to cover up their body much more than men. And do you guys actually thought of the reason behind this? Come, open up for interaction time. I've been talking to myself for the past 15 minutes. Any thoughts? Why do we have to cover up our body? Why do we want female to cover up their body? What makes most of the society decide to do that? Any thoughts? Or maybe you guys just can't hear me. Hi. Steve, you're the one who I can only see. Hi, Steve. Anyone would like to comment? No? Really, seriously? No one have a thought of why do we have to wear more, or why do we want females to wear more than guys? Because I think, okay, fine, I respect everyone's. Oh, someone is on chat, cover up. You are referring to Muslims. Yes, Muslim maybe especially, but not all the time. I think Chinese as well. When we talk about formal, right? Formal wear. Don't you think like formal wear tends to wear more? Even Chinese. Chinese, those days where, you know, they have to wear their collar and make it very high, or long sleeves. Even during those, my grandma days, they are not encouraged to show their skin. Yeah, showing skin tend to be like, you're telling people that you're horny, so you wear less. Well, I think that the reason for most society, oh, sorry, am I just trying to say, I'm sure. I think the reason for most of the Asian society requires females to wear more, it's because guys do not want them to simply trigger or stimulate our sex drive, so that the men can think rationally most of the time. So this is the groomswoman for docility. So can you tell me, can you elaborate more, Yen?
Yeah, so I don't know very much about this subject, but I sort of suspect that, in my opinion, I feel that the reason that you give is the officially stated reason, but that surely can't be the reason, you know, because it's got nothing to do with because men can always get stimulation anywhere. Even nowadays, you can get on the internet, you can get from books, right?
Yes.
It seems to me much more about controlling and dictating terms for women as a method of control, or maybe the nicest way is to say it grooms them for docility, right? To make them docile, at least outwardly. So that's just how I feel. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's just,
yes.
I don't live in a Muslim country, so I have the benefit of not growing up under that system, but I imagine that's what it might be.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Okay. Thanks. There's another comment here because it's considered that females showing their body will provoke men and it will make it seem that the female is available for sexual activity. If any parts of the female is visible too much, then it's disturbing. It's distracting. Yes, I do agree. I think, yes, nowadays it's very easy to access to nudity, I would say. But compared to those days where nudity are not so accessible, where sexual stimulation are not so accessible, I think that's the reason why men will tend to want female to wear more so that they are able to be rational and be calm most of the time in front of people and be professional, I would say, in those days. So after a while, women tend to think that this is the right thing to do. And then sex has become so hard because the men asked and dominated and try to avoid, and then it affects the whole society, and let's not talk about sex. This is what I think. Or, of course, I need more time to, get sorted out and more research to be done. Yeah. So that's why we tend to make it a taboo and make it shy away. Okay. Let's move on to the next. Oh, Martha.
Sorry. I mean, I don't really want to go into this because I actually want to learn about talking to my children.
Yes. I'm going.
But however, right? I live in Singapore, right? And obviously, women don't cover up here.
Yes.
And nobody's going crazy. There are no males here that are running rampage because there's, oh my God, I saw some girl in shorts or wearing a tight-fitting T-shirt. Nobody is going crazy in society because they are exposed to women who are not covered up.
Yes.
So I can't imagine. Let's say I was a dictator in Singapore, okay, and I want to control the male population. The way to do it is not by restricting what women wear. That doesn't have the effect that I want.
Yes.
The only reason I can imagine as a dictator, if I want to dictate terms, is to control women, because if women are getting too feminist or too strong and I want to control them, then I impose on them, right? So I can't imagine it's actually to control men's appetite or that they can't act professional in public. Yeah.
Because maybe there is a cultural difference in Malaysia because we are a Muslim country. Many times in Parliament they are actually discussing about how air stewardess supposed to wear, how the uniform is supposed to look like, and if there is any flight related accident, some people will come out, some very religious people will come out and tell you that it's because they didn't cover up, so it causes the accident. So it is possible. I mean, in Malaysia, because we are from a country where I would say some people are more conservative. So yes, it's possible for them to give this comment. And this is where I come from. Okay, let's move on. Like you say, let's talk about sex education, how we can teach our children sex education. So there's a saying that they are actually two fundamental urge or motivation that push us towards our behavior. There are only two. One, it's out of fear. Another one, it's out of love. So a lot of time, sex being a taboo, and we don't teach our children about sex education, it's out of fear. We are afraid that they may want to do sex early and etc. So today, my goal is to transform this and to make sex education a love education as well. So these are the 5 parts that normally I'll cover in my sex education. The first of all, of course, is the anatomy, know your body, and know your private parts, and use the right names, and etc. Another one is to promote gender equality. I think it's very important. The third one is sexual harassment prevention. Okay, and the fourth one, puberty. What are the things that you are going to face? I remember my puberty was quite it was quite shocking for me because no one actually told me what's going to happen. One day I just go to toilet and realize that hair is coming out. I thought I have some disease or something. Yeah, and yeah, I do face that. So if I would appreciate if I do have sex education when I was young. So where babies come from? This is also a very important question to answer our children. And basically, sex education for me covers these 5 important aspects. Okay, so first of all, I think knowledge, it's everywhere nowadays. We are living in a very technologically advanced era, and knowledge is everywhere. So for me, I think time is limited, so let's not talk about knowledge, but instead, I think attitude towards sex is the first step that educators and parents should take towards teaching children about sex education. And first of all, we need to know that children, they are very simple and naive. When we see them touching their private parts, it's not that because they want to have sex, it's just that they feel pleasuring. So this is a research ultrasound of a baby, showing them that the hands, obviously this is a male because he has a penis, and even in the mother's womb, they are actually holding their hand, using their hands to hold their penis, and they will move. It's just like a masturbation. So this shows that actually this is a very fundamental instinct for us to touch our private part. Even my daughter, now my daughter is 20 months old. When I'm trying to change a diaper, sometimes she'll touch a private part as well, and she feel very good about it, and she will smile at me. Of course, I think as parents, some parents, they will freak out. They'll think that, oh no, it's my child or my children turning into some abnormal person with a strong sexual urge. How can they touch their genitals? So this is the part where some of the very conservative people or parents get very, very anxious about that. So one of the most common questions that I've been asked by parents is that, is it okay for my children to, how should I stop them from scratching or from touching their private parts in the public? So most of the time I will tell them, actually you just have to do something else to distract them. Stop thinking, stop relating this behavior to a very dirty and something which is so wrong. So if we react that way, telling our children that no, it's wrong, you shouldn't be doing that, then what is the message that we are going to bring to our children? Is that children will thought that, oh no, this is wrong, I've done something wrong, and this is dirty, this is bad, and I shouldn't be touching it. So this is the perception we teach and we bring over to our younger generation. So first of all, I think the attitudes towards sex is actually simple, children are naive, and it's natural. So the second attitude towards sex is life is a miracle. This is a very important point, an important message that we wanted to bring to our children. Let me show you a movie clip. This movie clip is one of the movie clip that I used to show children during my sex education sessions. Can everyone hear? Is it good? But if you can't hear, it's fine. I think they are just basically background musics. Just look at the video, watch the video, then you'll be fine. Oops. So basically, we are seeing things from a sperm's point of view and how actually the sperm meet the egg and how they grow and become a baby. So because we are all adults, but normally I will pause and show and explain to the children what are the things that I wanted them to see. So this is the baby's heart. This is how the genitals are grown. Auditory sensation. This is how they swim in mother's womb. And when it's almost time, they will turn around. So, okay. I think we have enough at the moment. And if anyone was interested, let me copy and paste the link. If you're interested to download, feel free to go. Oops, sorry, should be. Okay. So this is a link if you're interested. So far, any question? If no question, I shall move on. Okay. So the next one, be sex positive. I think it's similar to the first point where sex, we have to tell our children that sex is good. I remember a few years ago, I was invited by the Ministry of Education to attend a workshop as a trainee. It's about sex education in schools as well. So at the time, I still remember we were break up into groups, few groups, and we were asked to discuss what is the negative, what do you call that? How should I put this together? Why is sex bad for us? We were asked to discuss about this. Why is sex bad? So we break into groups. Of course, being a very good student, we do note down some points and tell people that why is sex bad. I still remember one of the group who went up for a presentation, did a very strong conclusion, telling everyone that sex is bad, I hate sex, then everyone claps. For me, I was thinking like, is this really what we want to bring over to our children? Is this really something right? Is this the right message? Even though, yes, we are trying to tell our younger generation, our teenagers, that you're not ready for sex at this moment. But sex is bad. Is this the right message? That time I was thinking. So after that, I get very deep into understanding more about sex. I don't think this is the right way and this is the right direction. Instead, we have to tell our children and prepare for them. We have to be sex positive and prepare our children for a better sex life when they are ready. So hence, sex is good. Sex is always good. But we have to protect and maintain the happiness in sex by protecting ourselves, by knowing that when is the best time for us to have sex. So sex is good. It's just that during teenage time, you cannot afford to have sex because you cannot afford to get pregnant. So if you really wanted to have sex, then please be safe. So this is for me, I think this is the right message that we are supposed to bring forward, to carry forward to our younger generation. So the fourth attitude, I think respect is the key. For me, I think respect is the key towards happiness in our sex life and how we can respect each other, and also in this multicultural and with different kind of people and different kind of sexual orientation. So respect, I think, is the key, and this is the strong message that we have to bring to our children. So the principle of teaching sex education, for me, I think uses the right scientific names. The right names is very important. So we don't play around with, from my background, we are very conservative. So, we tend to like giving names to our private parts, like the bird, we like to call penis birds, and etc. etc. For vagina, I don't know what do you call vagina for. I think different cultures, they give different names, but I do encourage all of us to use the right scientific name. Okay? So I think children picture books are very, very good. Some of the parents, they are not ready and don't know how to tell their children about sex education, about sex, about the birds and bees. So I think picture books, it's something which is available on Amazon, on bookstores, but unfortunately in Malaysia, I realized that it is not easy. Even I hardly get any English picture books from the bookstore, unfortunately. I tried very hard to find, but I think I only can get it from overseas, like nowadays, because we have the convenience of buying things from overseas and maybe Amazon and etc. But other than that, in Malaysia, it's not easy to find. So let me show you some of my collection. Because I work with the Chinese community most of the time, so these are I do have a collection, but mostly are in Chinese. So like Where Willie Went is one of my favorite those days, but I have another favorite now. I'll share with you guys later. So this is like telling you, introducing children to our breast, and this one is about our body, etc., etc. These are all my collections. These are books that I use when I go teach And I was invited by some NGOs and schools to teach sex education. So far, everything okay? Hello. Any response? Any question? Or I'm talking to myself? It's fine. Let's move on. Hello. Can anyone still hear me? Yes, oh, okay. Roughly what age for these books? Okay, age. Yes, yeah. Yeah, you mentioned about age. Actually, if you were to ask me, I think as long as the child understands, or even they don't understand, as long as they are able to sit down and read, I think it's fine. There's never, sex education is never too early. I always believe in that. It's never too early.
So I have a pair of 4-year-old, 3.5-year-olds. Is it, I mean, I suppose what you're saying is there's nothing wrong teaching them about sperm and utera and uterus and things like that, is it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and just use medical terms now, right? Don't need to baby the
Yes.
terms, right? Okay.
Yes. I think it's never too early. Like yesterday, I did a Zoom session with a group of 10 to 12 years old, but I want their parents to be there to accommodate them, just in case they have question and they are shy to ask in the public.
Okay.
So one mother actually told me that actually his son was 11 and still haven't reached puberty yet, so he's not able to relate with whatever that I'm saying. But I think it's completely fine. I think it's completely fine because we just pass this knowledge to them, and one day when they face it, they know that is normal, that's expected.
Okay.
So they don't
There's
have the
no
anxiety.
disadvantage to them knowing or asking too many questions early, right? Because anyway, it doesn't affect them. They are not sexually active or anything, right?
Yes, no.
So it's no different than learning about germs or learning about how your bones work, basically.
Yes. Like if we tell our students about drugs, about safety, about traffic.
Actually, I don't know. I mean, like I also have trouble explaining why people smoke. I mean, I don't smoke, but like when they see like some kids smoking outside the shopping center, then they're like, why are these people all standing there smoking? Then I also find out how to explain to them. So I can't imagine. I mean, maybe it's just me. I can't imagine explaining them that. You see, like when do you tell them that the penis goes inside the vagina? That's surely not. I can't imagine that that's appropriate. So I need a bit more either reassurance or you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
yes,
it's very abstract. Like the sperm swims up the uterus. Okay, that one nobody can understand. Nobody can conceptualize what it is.
Okay.
But like my girls can see my boys have a small penis, and they can't imagine that it goes up there, right? And is there any need for them to know these kind of things now, or there's no harm, or there's harm?
If you were to ask me, if they ask, right, then I will let them know. If they don't, I think I will leave it aside. I believe one day they will ask.
Of course, one day lah. But the thing is, when is it appropriate to answer, and when is it appropriate to defer the? You see, like nicotine, right? Like the other day, I was just asked, right, why are they smoking? I'm not going to tell them how wonderful nicotine and addictive, how addictive it is.
So make it so that they use a language according to their standard. Make it something that they are able to understand.
Okay.
Of course, we don't use the word nicotine, and smoke for them is easier to understand. Nicotine is maybe a bit hard. So just speak their language.
Yeah.
A womb, all the time I'm telling my students that a womb is like a room for babies. Okay. So do you like to sleep on a soft bed or hard bed? Of course it's soft. You don't like to sleep on the floor, right? Then the womb will get thicker as time goes by, and this is how the blood from the period actually comes out.
Right.
So because one day because the room is not occupied, and the mother has to change a new bed for the next baby.
So what age is this roughly, and what age do you then transition to be like, okay, the lining is made of blood, and then the blood gets like like what age do you use the bit and the changing the bit, and what age do you use like, okay, it's all about blood and that kind of stuff?
This is because it's not the, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a wrong information. So as long as they are able to understand, then it's fine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. How to start a topic with my 10 years old? Okay, Namun is asking how to identify the start of puberty, how to start this topic with my 10 years old. So it depends if you have, if you used to read books with them, I think, Namon, then I think it's a very good, one day maybe you introduce these picture books about sex education, where does baby comes from and stuff like that to them. I think it's something very interesting. Or if they ask, maybe this is a book that you want to show them. But if you don't really have this habit of reading with them, maybe these are the books that you want to buy for them so that they can read out themselves. I think that's, as I mentioned, there's no too early to start this topic. If maybe one day, the scenario that I can think of is maybe one day they will, when they watch movie with you and they saw someone, the characters, they are kissing each other. Maybe they'll ask you, mother, what they are doing. Aha, that's where you can start sex education, because they love each other. So they are kissing each other. Mm-hmm. So where do I come from? So this itself is a very good one that I can introduce you. Now, how to identify a start of puberty? So there's no clear line of what age, because we are all different, but it roughly happens around, I think, 11 to 13, 14 years old, where they are first, for females, where the first menstrual period comes, and for guys, probably when they are, their voice started to change, and the hair starting to grow, and yeah, basically that's puberty for teenagers. Yes, never too early. Children know more about sex than we know. Yes, I agree with you, Sally. Yeah, I remember my good friend back in primary 5 talking about what she read in the magazine about feelings having a breast massage. This was major. Yeah, I know that nowadays boys are as young as well. Yes. And I always think that because children nowadays, it's very easy for them to access all this information. So sometimes even this information will come to them, the advertisement of a porn site and stuff like that. So I think it's never too early. Before they get to know that or learn that themselves from don't know where, I think it's good if we are able to give them the right information beforehand and equip them with it. Even though sometimes they may not be able to really understand or relate with the topic, but I always think it's fine. Their memory and the ability for them to be able to absorb all this knowledge is far beyond our imagination. So don't worry. I know, as long as it's the right information, I don't think there's anything that's never too early. Yes, what Sally says is right. It's never too early. Okay, this is one of my favorite. So let me share with you. It's originated from a picture book as well. Sorry, I shall turn this off. Turn it on is fine. So a true story of how babies are made. So check this out. I like this. This is original. I think the writer and the illustrator is
This is a baby.
Dutch.
Here are the baby's mother and father. They love each other very much.
So here's the baby's father and mother, and they love each other very much. This is a very important point, ladies and gentlemen, bear in mind. Because we wanted our children to be sex positive, hence love, we always have to associate sex with love. Okay? father and mother love each other very much. And what I like about this picture book or this clip is that the father, look at what the father's wearing, bright colors. And the mother is wearing darker colors. So it's sort of, it didn't follow the stereotype of mother always have to be bright and father has to be the one who is serious and maybe wearing plain color shirts. And another thing I like about this is that it breaks the stereotype of a good-looking body image. Look at the father. It's like, it's not muscular or what. And the mother is not like slim and lean and that fulfills our society's or media's definition of good looking body image. Okay.
Very much. They have helped each other to have the baby.
So they help each
When
other
the
to
parents
have
are
a
not
baby.
wearing any clothes, you can see that the mother has an opening between her legs. It is called a vagina. Right above the opening, she also has a clitoris. The father has a penis and testicles. The father and mother love each other very much and want to be very, very close.
So this is a time where while we are introducing the organs, we can tell them what's the function of the organs.
Sometimes when the father feels especially loving, his penis becomes longer and bigger. The mother's vagina also gets ready for loving. Then, to show their love, the father and mother, the father's penis into the mother's vagina. The father and mother hold each other tightly and move together happily. It feels good for both of them. They are making love, which is also called having intercourse. The father's testicles are filled with sperm cells.
Okay, so I like this part where they are being very direct, but simple and easy to understand in the same time. So the father will put the penis into the mother's vagina.
When he makes love, these come out of the tip of his penis. They move through the mother's vagina into a hollow space inside the mother called the uterus or womb. Sometimes there is a tiny egg inside the mother and a sperm cell joins it. If a sperm cell has joined the egg or ovum, together they can grow into a baby inside the mother's womb. The mother and father do not know yet if this has happened. Sometimes, weeks later, the man and woman find out that because they made love, they are going to have a baby. They are very, very happy. At first,
so they have a baby and they are very, very happy. This is the message that we want to bring to our children as well, because they want to know they are born out of love.
The tiny egg looks more like a tadpole than a baby. It is firmly attached to the mother's womb by the umbilical cord. Through this cord, the baby gets food from the mother until the baby has grown big and strong enough to be born. The baby's head, arms, and legs grow, and the little tail you can see in the picture disappears. As the baby grows bigger, the mother's abdomen also grows bigger. All these months, the father is very proud of the mother. They share the excitement of feeling the baby's first movements inside its mother and count the days until the baby will be born. Now the child has eyes and ears and keeps on growing. Many, many days pass. Now it is nearly 9 months since the father's sperm cell and the mother's ovum joined together to make the baby. One day, the mother tells the father that she is sure the baby is ready to be born. Some babies are born at home, but many are born in a hospital.
So your kid may ask you, so when does your mother does the mother know that the baby is coming out and stuff like that? Then that's where you can explain a little bit more about like if the mother will feel pain or etc. What are the things that or symptoms that a mother can see when the baby is ready to come out?
There, the doctor can more easily help the baby to leave the mother's womb. The mother lies on a bed in the hospital. The doctor will help her have her baby. Sometimes the father likes to stay with the mother so that he can.
Okay, this is the part that I like about this book or this clip as well, is that I realized some of the book, like for that one that I mentioned earlier, the where it's Willie book, it wasn't so direct when they talk about how does the baby actually comes out. Look at this. This is how they have sex. It's under the blanket, so it's not so clear for this book. So it used to be my favorite, but not anymore. I think that it's not that straightforward enough. And you see, from the mother being pregnant, and then the baby is born. There's nothing in between. There's nothing in between. So for this one, I think it answers a lot of children's question and where exactly does the baby come from. Okay? So that I like the title as well, the true story. That's the reason why I put in capitals as a true story of how babies are made. And this is very straightforward and direct and healthy as well.
See their baby when it first appears. The baby's head comes first. The mother's body stretches to allow the baby to come out. Then come its arms. When the baby is completely born, the doctor cuts the umbilical cord, which has carried food to the baby all this time. When the mother holds her baby in her arm with father beside her bed, they are very proud and happy. The mother and baby rest in the hospital and get to know each other. Then the happy father comes to take them home. The hungry newborn baby sucks milk from the mother's breast. The father and mother are very happy because now.
And this includes sucking milk from the mother's breast to let our children know about this very early important stage of our life.
They are a family. Their friends and relatives are happy too. They come to visit this brand new little person. This is the true story of how babies are made.
So the relatives are very happy. So the children is born out of love. Everyone loves him, he or she. So yeah. So I like this. This is the reason why I like this so much. And the end. Okay. Nothing else. Okay, thank you. So let me post this, the link, so that some of you, if you are interested, can go check this out or download. Okay, it's in the chat box. So far, any question? No, let me share about, besides books, I think these are the things that I will do with students. One of the activity, which I think what is their favorite as well, is to get them to go in pairs, and one of them will have to lie down on 2 pieces of big paper, and the other one will draw the shape of their body. And then what happened was they were given 3 color pencils. One which is the green, another one is a yellow, another one is red. So it's like our traffic light. It represents the part where other people are allowed to touch, which is green, and some parts where no one else besides yourself can touch is red, and yellow is the part where people who are very close to us can touch. So this is the activity I will normally do with them to let them understand about body boundaries. So the middle one, it's the one where they can actually tell us whether they have actually learned the names of their parts. And this one is the one, is a puzzle game, meaning that I will print this out and cut it and get them to rearrange the development stages of a baby. These are the activities I'll normally do with them. Any questions so far? If no, then maybe I will go to the next one. I think this is also very important. It brings to the next topic, which is sexual offenses. And I think all of us know that under different countries, and it's like sexual offenses is all over the world. It's even around us. A lot of women actually face this some sort or some level of sexual harassment somehow in their life. I do acknowledge that. So teaching our children to protect themselves, it's very, very important. Like in Malaysia, most of the sexual offenders towards children, their perpetrator are mainly people that they know. It's very understandable because basically they have to, the victim and the perpetrators have to know each other to gain a little bit of trust so that the offense can be, successful. And then, I'm sorry, I shouldn't use the word successful, so that the perpetrator can do the offense. Okay, so in Malaysia, a lot of victims actually know the person who actually touch them or do sexual offenses or harassment on them. Okay, I believe many other countries are the same as well. So this is Miss Tan Kim Kiet. I was very, very amazed or fascinated by her sharing on TEDx Petaling Street. By the way, Petaling Street is Chinatown in Malaysia. They have a TEDx over there, and she shared about her story when she was young. She was nearly raped by a relative. At the time, she was 7 years old. Her father went out to buy some food, and she was alone with the relative and her mother. Her mother was really ill at the time, so her mother wasn't able to help her, to save her, and the relative actually kissed her and tried to take off her clothes. But but at that time, luckily, sorry, not unfortunate, luckily, her father came back and found it. And the relative didn't manage to do anything. And her father actually beat the relative out. I believe probably is her cousin, with the cousin out, and asked her what happened. She was very afraid. And because of all this taboo, she know that this is not an appropriate topic to talk about. So she said that now everything is fine, nothing has really happened. So she decided not to tell until she reached the year 15 years old, and the school given her some sex education, telling her that it is wrong for someone else to touch our body without our consent. So it helps her to recall the whole incident. And she went back and confronted the family and wanted to launch a police report. Unfortunately, because of this power inequality at home, her auntie actually told her that it is okay for men to vent their sexual desire on women and blame it on her, asking her that, why didn't you run away, or why didn't you take precaution to protect yourself? Her father even told her that now if she were to tell anyone, no one wants to marry her anymore, and etc., etc. And some people just told that, no, it's just a touch, what's a big deal? And she was very, very depressed at the time. So after that, she went for counseling, and now she decided to voice out for women who has the same experience as her. So what I'm trying to bring out is that the prevention of sexual offense is very important, and this is what we have to always teach our students, especially because of the power inequality. Female get to stun and don't know what to do during these offenses. We always talk about fight, flight, and freeze. And what I realized is that most of the time, the victim tend to freeze and don't know what to do. In the same time, this is a person they trust, maybe probably it's their teachers, and maybe relatives or uncles and etc. And they really don't know what to do. And they decided to keep it to themselves. And one day, and they'll get depressed, and a lot of bad symptoms will eventually come out because our emotion has nowhere to go. We all know. So I think this is a very strong message that we always have to teach our children. Even though you are not able to talk about the birds and bees, is fine, but at least teach them to protect themselves, and no one can touch, including your parents. Okay, these are your private parts. Okay, of course, only under one circumstances where there's a medical checkup, there's a medical reason, then maybe the doctor can touch your private part with your consent. So other than that, no one else can touch. So teach them to be independent as well. Even the parents cannot touch all these parts. So this is the message we have to bring it to our children. Okay. All this need to be taught to kids for their safety. Yes. And tell them how to react. And prepare ourselves to react as well. To take it seriously. I think, of course, we don't go to the other extreme, saying that, oh, once this happened, I have to launch a police report. No, you will freak the students, we will freak the children out. But what I think most victims once after being assaulted or being offended is that they just want to be acknowledged. They just want the emotion or their wound being seen. They have a choice whether to launch a police report or to launch a complaint. Okay, leave and respect their decision. Because sometimes it's very hard if the person is your teacher or any of the relative, and if we were to bring this into court, it's very hard for this the victim to face whatever consequences that's going to happen. But at least, as trained adults, we have to acknowledge their pain and always tell them that it is not their fault. Traditionally, we used to blame the victim under sexual assaults because most of the time the victim are on a weaker side. Probably she's a female, she's young, she's the youngest in the family, and etc. And the perpetrator tend to be in power. So that's the reason why we will try our best to suppress this horrible emotion or the taboo in the family. So please at least acknowledge their pain and tell them it's not their fault, and see what are the follow-ups that they want and respect their decision. This is the message that I wanted to bring over to all of us today. So lastly, these are the few questions that I often receive from parents, and like what our friend Yin asked just now, when should I start? How should I start? and how to communicate effectively, what is the appropriate age to talk about the birds and bees, what is right, what is wrong. So I believe I have more or less addressed all these questions. Okay. I think it concludes as a conclusion. I think sex is beautiful, and we should embrace the beauty of sex and dedicate our life to enjoy the beauty of it, to protect, to spend our time with our children to protect the beauty of our sexual life, of their future sexual life. Thank you very much. Any question or any question to ask? I think I should stop sharing. Any question to ask? I think we have another 10 minutes more. I didn't prepare a lot so that we have time to interact. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome, Yen. You're welcome. Any question? If there's no question, shall we call this a day and end here? Hi, Martha. You're mute. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I think you can give them your contact as well for people who wish to get in touch with you. And you can also talk about your next session.
Okay. My contact, you can contact me through my Facebook. Okay, let me get the link. You just look for Shin's Dream and you will see me. But unfortunately, because I spend most of my time working with the Chinese community, so my Facebook page are all in Chinese, but you can still message me. It's still fine. So I'll reply you. And my next session is about anxiety, sexual anxiety. It's mindfulness based, but I'm going to talk about a new theory in psychology, which is ACT, the acceptance and commitment theory. How we can use this theory to fight against our anxiety in bed so that we are able to perform better accordingly to our desire. Okay.
Yeah,
Any
thank you.
question? Okay. If there's no question, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for your time. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
I hope you
Bye.
have learned something or gained some knowledge today. Thank you very much, Namon. Tricia, thank you very much.